She knows. She's in the game now.
What? No, she's not in the game, all right? She's not even game adjacent. I just told her the truth, a little slice of the truth. That's all. She's not in the game.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down discussing Kim's career during Season 5 of Better Call Saul, mainly the outcome. Warning of spoilers up to episode 509, or rather just Season 5 in general, and let's jump right into this.
You're the big gun with a ponytail.
Kim has made many life-changing decisions based on Jimmy's actions, but admitting that is almost insulting to her as she finds this fixation on trying to take control of her life and make her feel like her actions are decisions of her own. Just think of her famous line,
"You don't save me. I save me."
Well, in the same sense, you don't help me, I help myself. But also, you don't ruin me, I ruin myself. But is Kim self-destructive? Maybe not on purpose, but sometimes it does seem that way. Now, back when Jimmy tried to help her in seasons 2 to 3, he just kept making things worse.
This is total BS. I'm talking to him tonight.
Jimmy, no. You'd only make things worse.
I'll explain it to him.
No! I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. If you go to Howard, you and I, we're done.
He just kept hindering her even more so, and she kept getting blamed for his actions, getting sent to the mailroom as punishment to do doc review. Now, even if Jimmy wasn't hindering things and he was still nothing but helpful, Kim would still want that independence to pull herself out of a hole. Kim needs that gratification that she is her own person. If she does something positive for her life, she wants to accomplish that on her own. Likewise, if she gets in trouble or digs herself in a hole, she wants to climb out of it on her own without the help of someone lowering her a ladder. Ever since her flashback showing independence and not getting in her mom's car while she's drunk driving, she walks home herself. She's reluctant to get help whether or not it's useful, and she just usually thinks that she knows better, even if she doesn't. I mean, usually she does know better, but she might have a little bit overconfidence there. She's always been independent, self-destructive or not, and just maybe that's because of the way she grew up. Maybe she never had anyone to rely on, maybe she had to acquire these skills for herself, it seems, from a very young age, based on the fact that she wouldn't get in her mom's drunk car when she was that young. Yeah, she's a very independent person, so Kim wants her actions to be decisions of her own for her own good. This is not only what she wants for herself, but also for anyone in general. This is just her general, moral belief. This is also how she treats her clients. Well, before Jimmy corrupted her, that is, she wanted the decisions of her clients to be their own. She didn't want to trick them into taking whatever his option is actually best. This was the case for the fridge thief client in the beginning of season 5, but Kim ended up manipulating them even though she didn't want to, because Jimmy reached out and gave her that option that she didn't think of previously. Likewise, Jimmy has been doing this to Kim for a while now, tricking her into thinking that she's making her own decisions. Take the season 5 premiere for example. Kim obviously doesn't agree with Jimmy turning into Saul Goodman, but she doesn't want to be the thing that stands in his way to happiness or potential success. Kim believes that this is Jimmy's choice to make, and so she supports him with it even though she wanted to say more or maybe butt in. This was just Jimmy tricking her into being okay with his transformation into Saul, and he understands how she functions. He knew about everything I just explained all along. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes of the video, the subject at hand. Kim quits her job due to a self-realization that she had after thinking that Jimmy is dead in the desert. She had what I would like to think of a midlife crisis, so while thinking that Jimmy is gone, the only close person that she has in her life currently that we know of, she realizes what's important to her in life and what's not.
Kim almost lost the person she loves. Really shocks your system and makes you think, what is life all about?
She decides that she wants to quit her job at Mesa Verde and Schweikert and Coakley and work on pro bono clients, which means that she just wants to give free legal work to the people in need. Kim wasn't actually going to do this because she found out that Saul was still alive, obviously, but then after him not being able to take her comfort and him going into work, she's like, screw it, I'm gonna go into work. But then after sitting there and realizing that it just didn't feel right, she looks at the trophies and then she looks at the framed picture of the client that she helped, and she was just so proud of that.
When she's been working with her pro bono clients, she's actually helping people.
It feels like one of the easiest solutions she could have possibly come up with. Clearly this isn't what's important in life.
So even though she didn't want to quit her job anymore because Jimmy was still alive, she still ended up going through with it because she had that self-realization and she still felt that way.
Kim, they told me you were out sick today.
Yeah, no, Rich, you free to talk?
Yeah, is everything okay?
Yeah. I just need a minute.
Okay. So, what's up?
Career suicide.
Did Kim quit the job because she figures that she's so good at banking that she could get another job like it whenever she wanted? Obviously she doesn't care about the job anymore, so that's why she left, but does she think that she did it in a way where she could still have a career if she wanted to do something similar again, or was that effectively career suicide without her realizing it?
That would be career suicide.
Could she even use Mesa Verde or Schweikert and Coakley as references after everything that they went through? She told Jimmy that she had a very long and positive conversation with Paige about her leaving, so apparently they left on good ground, but still, I'm not sure, especially after everything that she put them through this season just to leave.
It's been a rough couple of days, so why don't you just hold off on a final decision? You call Rich, tell him you're thinking it over.
I already talked to Rich. And I called Paige. We had a nice, very long conversation. It's done. Then I spent the afternoon at the courthouse with pro bono clients without Mesa Verde hanging over my head. Best afternoon I've had in a long time.
Now, even though I support Kim, I'd have to agree with Jimmy and Howard as far as this situation goes. They both have similar reactions to her quitting, and, well, that's because they're right. But also, Kim's right, that's why this show's so brilliant. There's always two sides to the story, two perspectives, etc. Everyone is both right and wrong in their own way. Jimmy is right that Kim made the decision based on what he did in the desert. Howard is right on assuming that she quit because of something that involved Jimmy. I don't know if she feels like they're being misogynistic or what, but don't give me that crap. Howard told her what was up. Even in behind the scenes interview, they discussed how Howard was the last voice of reason, and that he's the only one who can clearly see what's going on.
The scene between Howard and Kim is really a tough one because Howard's right.
I'm really the only other one who knows what the reality is.
Howard, he's thrown and he's surprised and he's concerned. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He's trying to warn her.
It's one last act of goodness that he can do with this whole sordid episode.
That conversation with Howard is kind of what shoves her over into finally admitting that she is in the game and she does want to be in the game.
Howard isn't the bad guy here. Kim and Jimmy just keep getting defensive, overly offended, and they take what he says and they just literally twist it and they find reasons to take it the wrong way just so they can find reasons to be offended at him.
You know why Hamlin told me all that? It was for my own good. like I'm just waiting for him to ride up on his white horse. It's all about him. It's always all about him.
Well, I'll be damned.
Every reason why they hate Howard this season is a misunderstanding that could be solved with a simple conversation, but of course that can't happen. This is a TV show, we need conflict. Now, I don't really think that they even want to reconcile with Howard. I don't think that they want to make up with him. They're purposely looking for reasons to hate him, and they're definitely taking out their anger on him. Jimmy's taking up his bottled up emotions with Chuck out on him and just everything in the past, and Kim is the same way. Ever since Kim first got punished for being associated with Jimmy, she's hated Chuck and Howard for it. She still likes them, but at the same time, she can't stand them. It really offended her to be punished in that regard. It's the reason why she eventually left HHM, and it's the reason why she still yells at Howard pretty much every single time she sees him to this day.
Congratulations.
Right back at you.
I'll circle back with Paige, get the ball rolling.
I'll put Francis on that. You've got enough on your plate in doc review.
Every single conversation that she's had with him ever since she left HHM, and especially after Chuck died, has just gotten worse and worse. There was that whole scene and situation with Howard being passive-aggressive towards Kim and Mesa Verde at lunch because they went to Howard's favorite restaurant, so Kim writes him a check in order to pay off the schooling that HHM put her through, but then Howard rips up the check and says it's the principle of the matter, and as if that didn't go wrong enough, just think of the conversation as to when Kim went and talked to Howard about after Chuck's death and how could you do this to him and you don't understand Chuck and Jimmy's relationship. Kim just always takes her shit out on Howard. Sometimes he deserves it, sometimes he doesn't.
It is just, oh, what's this too, huh, Howard? What's in this? One last screw you, little brother from beyond the grave?
In this case, going into the season 5 finale, going into season 6, he definitely doesn't deserve it, and he's like the only voice of reason, but they're just blatantly ignoring it. So even though Howard and Jimmy both gave her real advice, she doesn't want to take it, she wants to go her own way. She compares this to Jimmy changing to Saul, and yes, but no.
When you decided to be Saul Goodman, I didn't get it. Still don't really, but I stood by your decision. And I'm not changing my identity, I'm just leaving a job.
And what I did was completely different.
Yes, they are both choices that one side makes for themselves, and they want the significant other to support them, even though they don't understand it. But Jimmy is also right in what he said as a response.
No, because I was leaving failure for success.
It's not different. You believed it was right for you. Give me the courtesy of believing this is right for me.
And I'm giving you a reality check. This is too far too fast.
And I'm giving you a reality check. This is really none of your damn business.
Jimmy left to become Saul for success. It was both a transformation career-wise, but also mentally, in order to leave the McGill name and his burned past with Chuck behind.
Kim, I can't go back to being Jimmy McGill. Jimmy McGill, the lawyer, is always going to be Chuck McGill's loser brother. I'm done with that. That name is burned.
It was worth it to him. Although this feels worth it to Kim, she'll be doing what she truly wants to do.
I'm leaving something that makes zero difference in the world to help people who are actually in need.
It's obviously not a good career path, financially or logically. As Schweikert and Coakley told her earlier in the season, it's nice that she's so passionate with her pro bono clients, but Mesa Verde is how Kim gets paid.
Rich, this is just Kevin being Kevin.
Now, don't get me wrong. I respect your devotion to your pro bono clients. But Mesa Verde keeps the lights on. Can we agree on that?
Of course.
We've all been here. Once in a while, you have to give a little to get a little. You know?
Mm-hmm.
All right, pro bono is wonderful. It is, but pro bono means no money.
So how does Kim expect to work for free as a pro bono lawyer? It's not like Jimmy or her have always lived lavishly, quite the opposite actually. We've seen her in the same small apartment for ages, and we even saw her showering at local gyms across the street from her office with Jimmy back in season 3. Kim doesn't need to be pampered even when she has a lot of money, and I assume that she has a lot of money saved up just from working with Mesa Verde in general. After all of the expansions that she did, all the awards that she got, she probably made a pretty penny. My point is that she can live cheap, but she still has to make some money, right? She has to have some sort of income on paper in order to keep paying bills. Now, as far as her money problems go while going into the 6th season, she wants to con Howard and settle the Sandpiper deal with Jimmy and HHM. This would effectively make them millionaires with a few mil in each of their pockets. Since they're married, they would split it legally.
Last I heard, Sandpiper was willing to go to $26 million.
Wow, a third of that is 8.5.
Mm-hmm. And 20% of that is
around 2 mil.
It's widely believed that she didn't actually think of this idea until she ran into Howard at work when she had her box of pro bono client papers, and then when she went home and then she confronted Jimmy about what Howard told her, and then they were talking about, or we could do this to him, or we could do that to him, and then Kim just thinks of this idea that she really latches onto. You can tell she brings it up with Jimmy multiple times throughout the episode. They joke about how they're not actually going to do it, but then they get that final conversation at the end of the season 5 finale where Kim admits that she'd be able to sleep at night knowing that she destroyed Howard's career and a life in order to get a few mil.
Kim, doing this, it's not you, okay? You would not be okay with it, not in the cold light of day.
Wouldn't I?
So with that being said, it is believable that she only thought of it during the season 5 finale, but it is also possible that she could have thought of it earlier on because it just seems so premeditated. Now Kim is a quick thinker, she could have just thought of this on the spot, and then during the whole finale, she's trying to slowly coerce Jimmy into it and almost manipulate him. And it's funny how the tables have turned because as we stated during the season 5 premiere, he was the one manipulating her, but now she's the one manipulating him. We always thought that he was going to push her too far, but now she might push him too far. So even if Kim didn't think of scamming Howard back when she quit her job, it's possible that she could have quit thinking that they could just live off of the $100,000 that Jimmy got from Lalo. But shouldn't they launder it somehow before they spend it, especially on something like bills? And as a matter of fact, is that $100,000 already clean money because it counts as Lalo's payment to Saul as a legitimate lawyer?
This is extra.
Or is it dirty money that he still has to launder? That's why Saul has all of this clean money in Breaking Bad, right? Technically it is drug money, but he counts it as payment for his lawyer services, so even though he's being paid outrageous amounts of money, it still counts legally. At least I'm pretty sure how that works, right? Feel free to correct me in the comments and elaborate. I assume Kim has a bunch of money saved up, she can probably last a while before she even needs to touch that money. You'd think that they would hopefully find a way in order to launder it in order to be able to use it legally. So Kim just quit her job because she figured that she wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. And just to think about everything that she did against Mesa Verde the past 3 seasons, season 5 especially, just to throw it all away on a limb. It's what makes it so shocking that she risked her career for Mr. Acker and then just ends up throwing it all away after thinking that Jimmy was dead in the desert. And also that's the thing too, maybe she didn't even care that much about her job, maybe she was almost looking for reasons to get fired, but she was also fighting the good fight trying to help Mr. Acker because he reminded her either of herself or of her pro bono clients, people that need legal help but can't get it. Now I gotta say, I love this whole arc through season 5, it was a crazy ride, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the show, especially when Jimmy gets Kim involved in all of the cons and we have that montage of trying to delay demolishing Mr. Acker's house, just everything that goes on. It's an amazing arc. I still enjoy it for what it is, but knowing that she quits out of nowhere in the end just makes the rewatchability feel like a bit of a drag. It's still an important arc showing Kim's descent into corruption. Is she doing this to herself or is Jimmy corrupting her? He's definitely enabling her and he may be manipulating her or tricking her into it, but he is still technically allowing her to make her own decisions, giving her that freedom, and she speaks for herself, so that's why it's so debatable as to who's actually at fault for all of this. Sure, Kim kept saying or. Like, what are you, Kim, a seal? But my point is that Kim felt defeated. She never knew that there was another option until Jimmy told her about it. This was the case with the fridge thief client, and it's the same going after Mesa Verde. As Kim laid in that bed, she felt defeated out of options. It's not until Jimmy mentions that there's another way that she latches onto it, and Jimmy knew that she'd jump onto another option if she knew it existed. So even though the whole time he's bringing it up, he's telling her not to do it, he knows that she's going to, and just having someone as sleazy as him tell her that she shouldn't go through with it just makes her want to even more. He coaxed her into it, whether she wants to admit it or not, whether she thinks that she made that decision by herself or not. And that's what I mean by Jimmy manipulates her, tricks her into making options that he might think are best for them, even though it's not what she truly wants. He tricks her into thinking that it's what she wants. Ever since everything went down with Mr. Acker and Mesa Verde, the fate of Kim and her career was being theorized about all season long. Would she get fired from her job from getting too carried away? Could she get caught in the act of a con or a scam? Will she throw it away? Is she having a midlife crisis? Is she just being self-destructive? And now we know that yes, she does end up throwing her job away, but what's the deal now? Does she really think that it's the best option for her? Has she not thought through her financial situation? And did she do this because of the $100,000 that Jimmy got from Lalo, thinking that that would cover things? Or possibly even the Sandpiper settlement money as well? The thing is, Kim and Jimmy manipulate each other many times this season, but it's never said outright. They never get called out on it. So many times, Kim and Jimmy manipulate each other in season 5 and get away with it. And it's not like the show makes it obvious for the viewers either. There's no tell. It's not like we see Jimmy turning around and laughing maniacally, going wah ha 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 after successfully manipulating Kim into going after Mesa Verde. The scene just ends with them cracking open a beer being genuine, and it leaves you wondering, did Jimmy really manipulate Kim there? Is he actually going to get away with it if he did just do that? And the show's just going to move on and not even mention it again or return to it or even put any emphasis on it. Now that's because this show feels like real life and it feels relatable. People don't always do an obvious jump for joy for the camera when they trick someone. That's the point of it being a successful trick. If you notice it, you notice it, but if you don't, you don't. That's one of the many reasons as to why this show feels like a smart show. They don't shove stuff in your face and down your throat.
Look at him, look at him, look at him.
Okay.
Look at it! Look at that face! Come on, look at that face! You look at him! Look at that face!
It's up to you to pay attention and decide on your own how you feel about what you just saw. They know how dedicated the viewers of Better Call Saul are, and they don't take that for granted. And sure, like most shows, there's many different levels of enjoyment. They convey so many different perceptions, and it's up to you for how much you pick up and notice. There's a baseline story that you'll enjoy if you watch casually. There's also all of these sub-levels of different inner context that you only truly realize after really getting to know these characters and this show's universe in general, general, possibly not even until you watch the episodes multiple times over. Now, Jimmy didn't want Kim to make a drastic decision based off of his actions, so he tries to backpedal her decision, but the damage is done. This is very scary for Kim. She's cutting ties with everyone, and this is also very scary for the audience too, as far as considering her safety goes. Kim has seemingly been cutting ties with many aspects of her life. Her relationship with Jimmy is bumpy, she doesn't have Chuck, she pushes Howard away, she doesn't have any family that we know of, at least close family, and then she yells at Rich from Schweikert and Coakley, and she puts Kevin from Mesa Verde through hell and back just to quit in the end. A few episodes ago, she had a very busy life, but now no one would really notice if she went missing, especially not immediately. Maybe eventually someone like Rich would check up on her after a week or a month, but it's not like she has a job that she needs to be at, so I feel like this is going to be the final hour with Kim's character. We're in the endgame now. If anything happens to Kim's character, it's really in the air now because she's not linked to anything else. Not that she couldn't die before, but again, it really feels like they're cutting all of these ties for a reason. It really feels like they're done with Kim's career and Mesa Verde and just all that jazz. She sees Howard in the finale, but she's not associated with him. She's not associated with Mesa Verde or Schweikert and Coakley, and as I said, her relationship is incredibly unstable with Jimmy, flip-flopping between almost breaking up and getting married and then thinking that he's dead. The only thing that she grabs from her office when she leaves work after quitting is the cork from that expensive bottle of alcohol that her and Jimmy conned out of that asshole a previous season at a bar, implying that she's held onto this side of her the whole time and that she's been bottling up, and it's the only thing that she's taking with her that is both symbolic and also literal. Is this implying that Kim is finally accepting that she's in the game with Jimmy and that she wants to support him making money for them this way? I feel like Kim's bottle cork is similar to Jimmy rubbing Marco's ring or singing / playing Smoke on the Water, is symbolic for their slip in Jimmy and Kimmy sides to show. Now apparently there were implications of Kim having a bad past during her initial interview at Schweikert and Coakley.
I'm from the Midwest, just a tiny little town barely on the map, near the Kansas-Nebraska border. You've never heard of it. One day I just looked around at my life, at who I was, and realized if I kept going the way I was going...
Which way was that?
Best case, probably married to the guy that ran the town gas station. I just wanted something else.
What did you want?
More.
And the only other hint of her past that we really have of her is her flashback to when her drunk mom forgot to pick her up as a kid. We don't know if Kim always had a straight and narrow prep past, or did she have an immoral past? Has she gone down a bad choice road before? There's also the whole story that Kim told Mr. Acker about her house, about how they're constantly moving. We kind of got an idea for how her mother is and how she raised her, because her point was that she had never owned a house and that she was always switching rentals, avoiding getting charged by landlords.
I've never owned a house. My family never owned one either. We never owned anything. When I was little, my mother used to shake me awake in the middle of the night yelling it was time to go. She was always one step ahead of the landlord. I'd throw my things in a cardboard box and run outside in my pajamas and bare feet. Sometimes it was so cold, my toes turned blue. If we'd had a house, I never would have wanted to leave.
And even in the season 5 behind the scenes videos, the show creators have admitted that they've wanted to put in more backstory about Kim's past, but they've had difficulties finding certain spots, so that situation with Mr. Acker was an excuse to do so, and I feel like we'll see more things like that in season 6, further explaining her past and elaborating on it. But speaking about her confrontation with Mr. Acker, let's switch gears back to Kim's morality. Think of what Mr. Acker said to her during one of their big confrontations.
You people are all the same. You're soulless money grubbers. You're just like all the rest of them. Come out here in your fancy suit. Bring your minions with you, driving them black, shiny German cars. And you think you can talk to me like I'm brain damaged.
He called her out for being a corporate shell who donates to charity on the side to make herself feel better about herself even though she's kicking people out of house and home. I don't think that Mr. Acker's assumptions of Kim were correct, at least in that moment or up until that moment, but that's how he sees her from his point of view. And the thing is, although Kim means well and he's totally wrong here, she eventually becomes what Mr. Acker wrongfully accuses her of. Sometimes when someone thinks that they mean well, but they get accused or framed of being something awful, their self self-destructive tendencies will steer them towards that direction of what everyone perceives them as, even though it's not actually true or they're a better person deep down. Kim didn't become this until after Mr. Acker called her out on it. She wasn't like that beforehand, but what he said really hit home to her because it was kind of true even if she didn't realize it yet, almost causing her to become it and double down on it.
I can see you've made up your mind. Have a good day.
And I can see you. You're one of those people that give a little money to charity every month so you can make up for all the bad that you've done. You go to soup kitchen once a year on Thanksgiving. That makes you feel a whole lot better about yourself. Makes you feel like one of the best rich people. I don't know how in the world you sleep at night.
Now she has literally quit her job and she's doing pro bono work full on, which you might as well call a form of charity. But at the same time, she's plotting to ruin Howard's career in life just for financial gain. Why does it seem like sometimes people don't become a bad person until after they've been wrongfully called out for it? And the same thing could be said about Jimmy, because although he wanted to go on the straight and narrow, because Chuck always said that he would never change, that he was always slipping Jimmy and he'd always revert to it, since Chuck always gave Jimmy a hard time, never cut him some slack, showed him some love or helped him out, Jimmy ended up reverting to that because he had no other option. If Chuck would have just accepted Jimmy for trying to be on the straight and narrow, he would have actually stuck with it. And that begs the question, would Kim have ended up here anyways? Possibly, but Mr. Acker did steer her in this direction along with accelerating it. I didn't agree with Mr. Acker whatsoever back when he was originally calling Kim out for all of that BS, but now she's almost become the negative assumptions that he inflicted upon her. Maybe that's just my perception of the show, yours could be totally different, let me know down below. During the season 5 finale, could Kim finally be showing her true colors, of which she possibly could have never shown before in her life? Maybe Jimmy is causing her to evolve into a new, more dangerous Kim that no one has ever seen before. Or could it be that Jimmy is reminding her of a comfortability, toxic past, which causes her to revert back to how she used to be?
Am I bad for you? He is bad for Kim, but it is her own fault. She keeps letting him back in, and some part of her that we don't know, which is her past, it's clear that she even finds it familiar.
Bottom line, Jimmy is definitely toxic for her in one way or another, and sadly, her life would probably be better without him. As much as I want to disagree with Chuck, just any chance that I can get, he's right in the sense that Jimmy destroys things around him even when he means well.
Jimmy, this is what you do. You hurt people over and over and over, and then there's this show of remorse.
It's not a show.
I know you don't think it's a show. I don't doubt your emotions are real. In the end, you're going to hurt everyone around you. You can't help it, so stop apologizing and accept it. Embrace it. Frankly, I'd have more respect for you if you did.
That being said, even if Kim realizes this, especially after the scene where Chuck warned her about him back when Chuck was alive, Kim keeps Jimmy around due to the comfortability that he gives her, possibly reminding her of her past.
My brother is not a bad person. He has a good heart. It's just, he can't help himself. And everyone's left picking up the pieces.
I could go back and forth on this for forever, and if we get enough theories about Kim's past floating around, I could dedicate an entire discussion topic towards it. Let me know if you want a full video discussing the possibilities of Kim's past, along with her flashback of episode 505 to her as a kid. And if there's any other scenes of Kim talking about her past, or her hometown, or her family, even if it's brief at all through the past 5 seasons, let me know.
Best case, probably married to the guy that ran the town gas station. Maybe cashiering down at the Hinky Dinky.
The Hinky what?
Hinky Dinky. It was our supermarket.
And yes, I do also have a bunch of Howard videos coming out in the near future. If you noticed, I talked about him a lot in this video. It's just taken a while to wrap my head around just an entire season of notes and split it up into different chronological videos, because I do have like 2 to 4 Howard videos that I'm going to do, so bear with me. Click on them when you see them. Hopefully they do well. Hopefully you want to talk about Howard as much as I do. Now, originally I wanted to do this video right after episode 509 aired, but I decided to hold back because I didn't want to throw out a bunch of Kim spoilers about her quitting her job. It's been a while since season 5 is finished. I feel like it's acceptable now, and also I just couldn't think of a good catchy title sort of alluding to it if you've seen the episode, so you'll know what I'm talking about, but not enough to outright spoil the episode if you haven't seen it. How do you make a thumbnail about Kim quitting her job without just saying Kim quits? So anyways, that's totally what I'm gonna end up making this thumbnail for this video. Don't hate me. I would hope that for anyone who cares cares about Season 5 spoilers to have either seen it by now or to just completely avoid social media until they do. There's been times where I haven't seen a new episode for a TV show or a new movie, and I don't go on Twitter or YouTube at all for a day or possibly even days until I finally see it. Now with that being said, considering the title and or thumbnail of this video, you can tell that I just decided to title the video what it is, Kim quitting her job. But I waited a while until after Season 5 ended, so hopefully most people who wanted to finish it before seeing this video had a very long chance to. Also, I usually try to keep titles and thumbnails spoiler free. Just wanted to clear that up because I know that I've said previously that I've wanted to do this video and then I put it off for a long time. We were talking in the comments, people were giving me suggestions on what to title the video. I appreciate all the suggestions, but I just thought it'd be best just to kind of lay off for a bit, and here we are. And man, this video was a big one, so I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything that I've said today. And if you're new here or just haven't yet already, please subscribe and hit that bell notification thing for updates on whenever I post new content for Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. A large portion of my viewers aren't actually subscribed to my channel, which I find kind of mind-blowing, so hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and also hit the notification button. If you've already hit notifications for all, check to see if it automatically switched back. I don't know why, but YouTube likes to do that for some reason. I've personally noticed that a few YouTube channels that I watch, I have notifications set to all, but then it automatically changed it back to some. And if you do really enjoy what I'm doing here and you want to help support the channel in the best possible manner, consider checking out and joining my Patreon. I recently updated it, link in the description and on screen. But as always, I thank you guys all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Or, Jimmy? Or.
I'd like you to come work at HHM. Okay?
Don't worry about it, actually.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No. I'm happy to be with Howard. He's a damn good-looking man.
You're the big gun with a ponytail. Soulless money grubbers.